Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing another installment of my First Ladies of Halloween video, and today I'm doing the original horror hostess herself, Vampira. So Vampira came out in the 1950s, long before Elvira, and kind of around the same time as Morticia and Lily Munster came out. So she is definitely a staple in the horror community and a Halloween and horror icon. So I wanted to do her look as best as I could and get these iconic eyebrows in a video. So if you guys like these kind of makeup tutorials, make sure you subscribe because I'm doing 31 days of Halloween. So I'll have 31 looks. So if you want to stay up to date on that, make sure you subscribe and let's get started. So this tutorial is a little bit different than the other ones I've done just because I did block out my eyebrows and I am not good at this. This is the first time I've ever done it in the last like 6 years. So do this, block them down if you want to, unless you just don't care about the brow shape in general. But I want it to be as realistic and as authentic as possible, I guess. So I'm starting with block down brows, and I will link the video down below that I used for it. So for my foundation, I'm using the Rimmel London Stay Matte. This is in light ivory. This is the palest foundation I have. It's really hard to recreate Vampira's makeup because the show came out so early in TV that it never was in color. So you have no idea what her makeup looked like other than kind of what you can look at from pictures. I just know that she was really pale because that was kind of the whole shtick of the character being a vampire. So I'm gonna start by doing really pale foundation with a brush and making sure I cover my eyebrows with the foundation as well. So now that I have this super pale base down, I'm going to do my eyebrows with a little bit of black paint. Again, I have no idea if this is even remotely close to authentic, but I'm gonna try and make the shape as close as I can. So I am going to start with kind of a round brow, and then it comes up very sharply. Vampira was kind of, if you don't know who she was, I mean, it was quite a long time ago that her show was on. She was kind of the original Elvira in a way. She was a horror hostess of old horror movies that would be on really late at night in the 50s. She would start off by walking down a hallway with all this smoke, and she had a really, really tiny waist, like 17 inches. They had her cinched to, which, I mean, I don't think anyone has done since then, except maybe Violet Chachki, but even then I don't know that her waist was 16 inches. Or 17 inches, sorry. Her is that she was the original horror hostess. She kind of made fun of the movies. She showed up and she'd walk down a hall and she'd scream all the like Sasha Velour. She kind of became this character in herself that the actress who played her made and had the rights to. So if anybody wanted to change anything about the character, they kind of had to go through her first, which I don't think was common at the time, especially for a female lead part. Most of the time, the studios were in charge of the characters and no one got a say over how they looked, what they said, what they did, but she was really kind of in charge of the Vampira character, which I think is really awesome. And part of the reason that she's kind of so revered, I mean, she was also kind of the beginning of this raven-haired, spooky goth type woman who talked about spooky horror movies. So now I have the brows done, we're gonna move on to the eyes. I'm gonna start with a light sort of vanilla color, and we're just gonna go underneath the eyebrows and highlight with this and also kind of blend out where I had to put some concealer to reshape the brows a bit. But anyway, she kind of had this, I mean, her look was severe. I mean, these eyebrows are crazy. She had really high arched eyebrows that went up onto her forehead, but really kind of natural pinup makeup, especially at the time. I mean, this was the 50s. So she kind of fit this weird fantasy of wanting this really pretty pinup, kind of all natural looking girl, but with this dark sort of almost dominatrix look, which was kind of the inspiration behind her teeny tiny waist. Taking the same brush, I'm gonna go into this dark brown color, and we're just gonna put this right on the eye socket bone. Now I'm just gonna dip into this kind of neutral shade. It's a little bit more of like a darker vanilla, and put this on the lids. So basically, the Vampira show only lasted, I think, a season or two. It wasn't on very long, and the character kind of went by the wayside. No one did anything with it until the 80s when Elvira came about. And a lot of people at that point didn't remember Vampira, or if they did, they didn't really care about Elvira, or they just enjoyed the persona in itself, because Vampira wasn't as comedy driven as Elvira. So when it came about and the Elvira show came out and it was announced what the idea of the show was, the original actress, whose name it's Mila something, I can't remember her last name, she's Swedish, actually sued and lost a lawsuit saying that she had creative integrity over Elvira and it was too much like her character. It was copyright infringement, but she eventually lost the case. So now I have my lashes on. I just did a 120 Demi Wispy from Ardell in black. She definitely had false eyelashes on, especially from the pictures I've seen, but it's really hard to tell what kind or how big they were compared to her natural lash. So I just did something kind of in the middle that would be semi-dramatic, but small enough not to cover up all that we've done so far. So now I'm going to contour, and I'm actually going to use a light gray shade to contour because she had really, really pale skin, and I just don't foresee it being a bronzer. It may have been, but because everything is grayscale for this, we're just going to do what we can. I'm using a really tiny brush from MUA Makeup, and we're going to draw a legit triangle on our cheek. Her face kind of came in at two places. It came in right here and then again around her jaw. So I'm going to contour there too. I want the contour to be even more severe, so I am going to take a little highlight and I'm going to put it right at the highest point of my cheekbone. To complete the eyes, I'm going to take a little bit of black and smudge it underneath the lash line because she does have a black shadow under there. I assume it's black. Again, can't tell. But yeah, more about this character. Just basically, she based it off of the original Morticia from a 1930s cartoon, like the original Addams Family. I mean, Morticia didn't have a name at that point, but they did. People really liked the character just because of her dry wit, and it was something very different at the time. And that's actually how the original Vampira got discovered, was that she dressed up as the mom of the Addams Family at the time, because she didn't have a name yet. And someone saw her in the dress and thought she would be perfect for the horror hostess role. We were supposed to bring back the Vampira show in the 70s, but the networks and the original Vampira could not come to a decision on what they wanted to do with the character. So unfortunately it fell through. I just lined my lips with a red pencil, and then I'm going in with a really dark red lipstick. This is Cherry Skies from NYX, and I'm hoping it'll be dark enough. So here is the finished look. I put on the teeniest bit of red gloss just because I feel like she probably had red gloss on for the time. That was big back then, but this is the look. The only thing I wish is that this was a little bit flatter because her hair was more of a finger wave, but this is as close as I have for a wig. So that is all for this installment of my First Ladies of Halloween little mini series that I'm doing within 31 days of Halloween. If you guys like this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out yesterday's video, which was Elvira, to learn more about the history of how this character came about, because I do talk about Vampira in that. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. You're having a great spooky season, and make sure you subscribe and check out all my 31 days of Halloween videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.